I'd like to introduce the next session, which is going to be, our next group will be recharging the economy, electric vehicles, and we had a number of them out there for you to see and enjoy. Lisa Nisenson is going to introduce the other speakers, and Lisa is a consultant and is working with Sarasota County, helping us to do more smart growth, better planning, and one of those is looking at alternative transportation techniques. And with that, I'll let Lisa introduce the rest of the speakers.
Thank you. As the last panel in this conference, it is my job to wrap things up and to get you fired up so that when we meet next year, you will have looked over the past year and done great things based on what happened at this conference today. What we're talking about here today is really a transportation revolution. I don't know if you've looked around, but in this country we have transportation problems. And part of that problem is that we have a limited number of technologies, and if you don't own a car, the gap between your options, which is the local transit agency, is actually quite large and quite daunting. You either have taxis, which are really expensive for the user, or paratransit dial-a-ride, which is insanely expensive for the transit agencies. What can we do in the middle? In this country, there are a lot of people doing work on transit and transit-oriented development, but the bulk of that literature is based on heavy transit. If you have a subway, if you have a light rail line, boy, you got people paying attention to you. But what about the 6,600 transit agencies out there that are on rubber tires? And I think it's shameful that we have not done enough to pay attention to how to use these assets better. So, what does that mean for Sarasota? Well, as luck would have it, we are going to start a revolution here, and we're going to fill that gap. We can do that here, and you saw part of it out there. Here are some of the vehicles and the green hopper down below. It is an economic opportunity, and the one thing I want to hammer home is that it means more this year than ever because we have a #1 beach, but we won't be getting new trolleys for another year, and SCAT is put to the max. So how are we going to move people? Because moving people is moving dollars. And you're going to see us in this community tackle this problem and solve it. And we're going to use it with local ingenuity. Now, here is how everything ties together. How do you look at what Global Urban Development said about your silver entrepreneurs, about your business networking, about clean technology? This group right here got together and started doing that. And it was really amazing because this was a group that was convened by HUB, the think tank downtown, not the bar on Siesta Key. They're making money. But if you look at all of the different disciplines that came together, this is what it takes to start a revolution. Because on our own, we independently could go around our merry way and start making dents in the green economy. But it's really going to take all of us coming together to tackle the barriers, to look at the regulations, to go to Washington, D.C., to knock on DOT's door and say, we could do so much better if you would just help us with that teeny tiny line in the CFR. So that's really what we're going to do over the next year. And I hope you'll be a part of it with us. Part of that means that everybody in this room has got to become a subject matter expert, whether it's clean tech or water or electric cars. That is one of our focal areas. It's what we're going to be good at. So darn it, let's run with it. With that, I want to introduce Ken Stokes from Eco Technologies, who's going to get you up to speed on the infrastructure so that when they come to Walgreens, you're going to be the ones out there telling people what they are so they go out and buy the electric vehicles. And then we also have Bill Young. He's really with the Clean Cities Coalition. That's the hat he's wearing today. And he's going to talk about these vehicles and what we can do. They only have 12 minutes apiece. It's tragically short, especially when we're starting a revolution. But we're going to get
Good afternoon, Ken Stokes. Ooh, that's too much. All right. So, hey, that was a lot of excitement there. And yeah, it's a revolution. I'm going to talk just about what's going on with the infrastructure. The whole thing with the cars. They're amazing. A lot of people don't know about them. It's kind of a chicken and egg with the infrastructure. You need to have the charging facilities out there, with the cars, or people are not going to get it. The reality is you don't necessarily have to have chargers out in the public realm, but it gives people comfort level because it's new stuff. Most of your charging is going to be at home, 60 to 80% of it, but we're going to have a ton of it out there through the next couple of decades, actually. This little graphic here is probably kind of hard to read, but just kind of talks about the policy initiatives that were put in place several years ago by a band of utilities, car manufacturers, the federal government, and people that just generally believe in electric cars. The economic linkages are in the middle. The whole goal is to get off gasoline, get on electricity. It's cheaper, more readily available, more stable fuel. Get off the oil, increase our domestic output. And there's a whole bunch of positive outcomes to the right. Increasing the amount of money you have in your pocket every day as consumers, jobs, trade balance, et cetera, et cetera. Where we are on this deployment timeline, they kind of broke this planning effort into two phases. The 2010, 2013 range, and then 2014 and 2018. This is going to take quite a while. This is going to take at least 30 years to get to the point where, let's say in 2040, about 70% of all the cars we have are going to be some type of electric vehicle. They could be plug-in electric, hybrids, or pure electrics. But the dynamics of the car, the economies of the car, and the efficiencies of it are going to make it happen. Right now in 2011, where we stand right now, there are a couple 100,000 electric vehicles in the United States. The numbers are that by 2015, we will have between 1 and 3 million vehicles on the road that are some type of electric vehicle. That's only 4 years from now. The bottom line is consumers have to see them, and you're just now seeing them for the first time in mass production. Of course, the electric vehicle's been around since the early 1900s. Anyway, there's just some of the numbers. Looks like by 2020, we're supposed to have 14 million vehicles, and this is from independent research. The thing that really got things kicked off and that got me involved in this was about 9 months ago. There was a Project Get Ready meeting up in Tampa. The Get Ready area for us really started in Central Florida. And this map shows that you see in the blue there was Project Get Ready Central Florida in combination with the Space Coast Clean Cities Coalition, which is Bill here today. So really, the state of Florida is pretty fortunate. Things started in the Orlando area for electric vehicle charging. There were 300 stations that were allocated through a grant to the Tampa Bay area. Those are going in as we speak. There's about 50 on the ground right now in Orlando. There'll be about 300 by the end of this year. From Get Ready Central Florida, things morphed over to the West Coast, and what you see in green there is Get Ready Tampa Bay. Sarasota County just took the initiative to plug into that, to add into that for their benefit, to tap into funding, and to show everybody that they're ready for this. But it's the area from Pinellas all the way down into Sarasota County, and that is going to be tremendous for this whole area. So we're going to get about 100 stations through the federal government, and I've been very involved in that. On a national level, the scope of this infrastructure is several $100 million. I think the numbers, Bill may know better than I do, but probably in the order of $400 million. But there are two main programs by which the infrastructure is being doled out. It's being doled out by the Department of Energy. The big one in California, Washington, Oregon, kind of on the West Coast, is the EV project. And that's a $230 million project of just getting infrastructure out there, charging stations. Of those, about 15,000 will be what we call level 2 stations. Those are the 240 volt chargers that charge things pretty quick. And then about 300 level 3s, which are fast chargers. Those are amazing. One of the vehicles out there today, the Nissan Leaf, can accept level 3 charging, 480 volts, 50 to 70 amps, and charge the car fully in about a half hour. So it's amazing stuff. Walgreens is also going after that equipment. They're doing level 2s and level 3s, about 800 around the country. The other big program, the one that I've been mostly involved in, is the Charge Point America program. That's a smaller program, it's $37 million program, public-private partnership, Department of Energy, Coulomb Industries, and it affects the states that you see there, Michigan, New York, Washington, California. In Florida, again, it started in Orlando and then morphed over into Tampa. That's going to be about 4,600 stations through that program. They all have to be installed at the end of this month, so look for some pretty rapid movement, by the end of this month. Some of it may go over. The big picture is that the cars are still the key. What attracts consumers and what's going to get them going to this stuff is actually touching and feeling the cars, kicking the rubber, talking to guys like Chris Sherrick. Chris has got a Volt there. It's just amazing. Chris just told me he's got about 6,000 miles on his car, and he's averaging 147 miles a gallon. Not 50 like the Prius, great car, don't get me wrong. 147, and that's come down from where he was. And that's the kind of mileage he's getting for both urban driving and highway driving with some trips to Orlando. That's real stuff. So when consumers find out that these cars are very, very affordable to operate and they get that kind of economy, they're going to get it. It is the first mass market push of EVs in the history of the United States. So even though we've had these cars out before, now we're seeing them in mainstream. You're seeing some of the cars there. You see them outside. The big difference of these cars, to understand the difference between these cars and regular hybrids, is really two things. They have a plug, and they have bigger batteries. So if it has a plug, in general, it gets at least 100 miles a gallon. There's going to be about 10 cars that are out already this year, 2010, 2011. There'll be another 10 in 2020, so you'll have more and more choice every year as we move forward. I've already mentioned the numbers, about 1 to 3 million by 2015. What are they going to do? They're going to improve the economy. They're going to reduce our dependence on oil. They're going to make people happy because they're going to save them a lot of money at the pump. It's a huge convenience to the user. This is something that's often overlooked. It's one thing to get great gas mileage and pay $2 to $5 to fill up your car with electricity. But when you can do that in your house and plug in your car like a cell phone with that kind of simplicity and ease and wake up with a full tank of fuel, it's hugely convenient. So when people understand that paradigm, that's part of the ownership of the car. It's just like in your cell phone. They're really going to get it and love it. Having them, as I mentioned, home charging is about 60 to 80% of your charging. So really, how important is it in the public realm? Well, it is important. If you go on a longer trip past the range of the car, you're going to look for a charging station. What is the range of the cars? The ones that you have out there today, right now, on pure electric cycle, the Nissan Leaf, their mainstream car is about 100-mile range. The Chevy Volt is about 40 to 50 miles on electric, another 350 on gas, so it has a range that's 375 roughly. But on pure electric, there was a car out there today. It's an amazing car. That little Roadster that you saw, the blue Tesla, has an all-electric range of 245 miles. So that car clearly showcased that the range is getting bigger and bigger. Once that range gets to 300 to 400 miles, it's just like a regular gas car. It's no different. You got to find a filling station just like you would for a gas car. So we're getting there. And actually, the next Tesla is going to be 300-mile range. The other thing that's really exciting about this technology on the charging side and infrastructure side is that once you have a public charging station at your business, whether you're an employer, a hotel, a restaurant, a recreation area, almost anywhere, the stations are located on GPS. So every Volt, Chevy, Leaf driver on their nav system is seeing exactly where those chargers are. It's not rocket science. It's also on your smartphone. So there's no mystery where these stations are. But it will actually bring business to your location. If Hotel A has a charging station and Hotel B doesn't, and you're driving from out of town, so let's say from here to Miami, you're going to think about where you're going to go. So there's going to be a competitive paradigm that's going to cause lots of people to get charged very quickly. That's why I'm in this business. The time to charge varies. I get a lot of questions from people, how long is it going to take to fill up my car? It's anywhere, depends on the size of the battery, the type of charging system, but it's anywhere from overnight, 6 to 8 hours, which is no worries, you're sleeping, to 3 to 4 hours, to a half hour. But basically, you're going to get what you can. If you go shopping, you're going to do what's called convenience charging. While you're going to your groceries, you're going to Walgreens, you see a charging station, you're going to plug in, you're going to top off. So that's how it works. I would say 80% of the stations that are out there right now, including the city of Sarasota's, are free. So not only are you operating costs extremely low to operate these cars, but you can fill up your car for free at a lot of places or at taxpayer expense. But the cost of electricity is just nominal. So that's a neat thing. Again, this slide is really just about the competitive paradigm. I find it fascinating about the have and the have-nots. I get it every day. I go talk to a hotel. Does this hotel have it? Are we going to be the first hotel that has it? Yes, you're going to be the first one. You're coming right after. So I expect to see a lot more of that. Same thing with employers. It started off as kind of an eco-conscious thing. Google out in California, they've got a couple hundred stations at their main headquarters out there. But for those employers that have them and those that don't, it's going to send a message to their employers. And what may have started as kind of a feel-good thing is going to soon become, standard. The cars cost about 2 to 5 cents to operate. That's the cost of electricity. Your car, if it's a gas car, is about 15 to 20 cents. So the savings in operating these cars off electricity is anywhere from like a quarter to 1/10 the cost of gas. Bottom line is electricity is a very stable, low-price fuel. It's not going to change. The car mandate by the federal government, the mileage mandate right now is 35.5 miles per gallon for fleets. That's by law. If they don't meet those requirements, they get fined. You cannot meet that standard and the higher standard of 54.5 miles per gallon unless you get electric vehicles in their fleets. Every car manufacturer on the planet understands that, so that's why they're making these cars. There's a lot of issues to consider on the technology side for safety and quality of service and smart grid. I'm going to cruise through this really quickly because this is a plug kind of for Coulomb Technologies. This shows you where these stations are going to be at. You're going to have level 3 fast stations at rest stops. On the curbside, they're going to pop up all over the place. Those will be level 1 and level 2s. Homes will be mostly level 2 chargers. Workplace are going to have level 2s. Postal fleets and rental cars are going to be grabbing these things very quickly, and taxi fleets will have them as well. The technology, real quickly, to access the machines, there's one outside right now. There'll be about 15 to 20 of these here in the next month around town. You can use a credit card to access it. You can use a charge pass card or 24/7 phone call. Again, different people, some will charge $2 an hour, some will charge nothing. It varies from user to user. You can go anywhere in any place and do these. It's the same system. They want to be very robust. You can be notified once you pull into your place. If you're charging out there right now, if you're done charging and say someone charges you $2 an hour, you'll get a text on your smartphone that says, you just finished charging, you might want to unplug your car. For those people that are interested in the financial side of it, government agencies or individuals that buy this stuff, private, public, doesn't matter. Again, they can either do it for free because the energy is a low cost, or they can recover their cost of both the electricity and the use of the equipment. And with this equipment, the net proceeds of the transaction that you do as a consumer right there at the unit are sent to your account wirelessly. So it's very, very cool, very trick technology. So it's all about the network. It's not just the equipment. The smart chargers are all network. The main thing is to wrap up here. The point of having this type of stuff is to bring people to their downtown areas. The city of Bradenton right here, Ben Burr's with us. They've got a redevelopment project going on down there. Their waterfront, they're investing money on revitalizing their downtown. They understood immediately the opportunity to bring electric vehicles into that area. It's a clean way of moving people along the waterfront. And it's going to bring people off the interstate and off 41 and 301 to their downtown because they're going to know where the chargers are. So it's cool stuff. You can also market. They have a little scrolling display on there. If you're a hotel or a business or whatever, you want to give a little message. Welcome to Whole Foods, whatever. We're having a special today. You can change that wirelessly. In culmination, I just want to let you know what's going on right here. Sarasota County was just awarded 9 units, actually. It says 10. And they're going to be all over town in neat spots that we worked out together. So be key public locations. The city of Sarasota already has 4 units out there. They were the innovators with 4 at the Palm Avenue parking garage. They're adding 5 more. Locations like City Hall, Marina Jack, St. Armands. City of Bradenton with Ben, they just added 8 units. Hillsborough County about 10. City of St. Pete 10. City of Clearwater was very conservative. They grabbed 1 unit. That's fine. Orlando area already has about 50 installed. They'll be getting up to 300. Private sector, some people that you'll know or think about. Anna Maria Green Village has already got 1. SRQ Hampton Inn just grabbed 2 units. Their LEED certified hotel. They're all excited about it. Lakewood Ranch Communities has got 2. 1 on Main Street, 1 at the Visitor Center. The Don Cesar Resort will have 2. They're loving it. AAA South has got some. USF Tampa's got some. State College of Florida here in Sarasota has got some in boxes, but they need to go ahead and install them. So that's all I have. That's where we are on the charging side. Bill?
I'm not sure what to say now. He said half of what I was going to say. I didn't realize he was going that high tech. So that's pretty good. She's taking a picture of me so my boss knows I actually go places and work. He thinks I go places and party, so. He thinks my electric car, I have one just to party with.
We'll take that picture later.
I didn't know you were invited to the party. Okay. I'm Bill Young, and I'm not sure who I work for. I work for the Florida Solar Energy Center, and we have a contract to do clean cities. And the federal government takes and put out mandates, and then they develop some kind of program sometime in modern times of how to help you with the mandates so you can pay for them yourself. And so they created Clean Cities as a way of helping you implement the mandates of clean technology for the EPA and DOE, the EPAC and Energy Policy Act, so you can meet these mandates. So Clean Cities is that's what I do, is for UCF. Florida Solar is part of UCF, and I get paid by DOE to represent them here. And then I have a wife, so I'm not sure who my boss is, okay? Okay, so this is who I am, and this is who I work for, Space Coast Clean Cities. There's 2 coalitions in Florida, one in Central Florida, Space Coast, and then Gold Coast is in Miami. And there was going to be another coalition here in Tampa, but they haven't fully organized. So there was going to be like 6 coalitions around the state. And if you want one here, there's people who are trying, so go ahead and help them support it and make it happen. Okay, so it would be great if the whole state had coalitions all over it. So this is where we are. This is my Clean-Cities is our webpage. If you want to go there and see what we do for our coalition, we have a calendar of events there. My phone number, where we're located at. Okay, and so I'm going to talk about Clean Cities. And Clean Cities is fuel neutral. Okay, we want all the fuels that the Energy Policy and Clean Air Act put in place to help offset the reduction. We're trying to reduce the amount of petroleum consumed. Okay, and so by doing this, we're promoting electric cars like he is, ethanol, propane, and so forth. And so we're going to talk about those and what Clean Cities does. So I'm a coordinator. So my job is to get you to spend your money to meet the mandates. Okay, and so I coordinate things. So I try to send you somewhere else or other teams, develop teams and partnerships to make these mandates happen. Let's see if I got it. Okay. So what kind of fuel is it? Are we using vegetable or what? Okay. Anybody have an all fuel? Anybody know what an alternative fuel vehicle is? Or are we waiting? Okay. So you have one. He has one. Anybody else? Who has an electric car? Any electric cars out there? Propane. You have an electric car. Natural gas? Biodiesel. A vegetable oil? A bicycle. Oh, we have bicycle people. Electric bicycle. Oh, we have some electric bicycle people. Okay, I see. So who takes the transit system? Well, we're all too rich for that. Okay. Okay, so we promote all means of transportation to try to offset the consumption of petroleum. And that's what it's about. So whatever your lead, regular, or organic fuel. And so the women would love this. Henry Ford's wife drove electric. She couldn't stand her husband's smelly, stinky, noisy car that she couldn't crank. So she drove electric in 1903. And we're all waiting for electric cars yet. Okay?
Wow.
So this is like the 5th generation of them coming out. Okay, so will they hold this time? Will they stay? I think we will, because gas is no longer, who remembers 27 cents a gallon? Okay? 17 cents? Oh, you're older than I am. Okay. And so this is the electric car. See, so Henry Ford's wife, they all sat in a circle and stared at each other and talked. And they went for their Sunday drive to go shopping in an electric car. Because electric car, you could talk. The gasoline cars were so noisy with no mufflers, they couldn't talk. Cool, huh? And so she pitched at her husband, and then he had a starter, a muffler. That's how it works. See, so I went and, don't tell my wife, okay? So I went and bought a Prius, and had it about 2 months. Then we went to North Carolina to visit my daughter, and said, you want to start driving? I said, okay. So she took over and started driving the car as we went up the road to North Carolina, and she wouldn't give it back, and she's had it 4 years. So here's the niche markets. What kind of transportation we're talking? It doesn't matter. If it has wheels, we're talking about it, okay? So buses, trucks, all kinds of things. There you see a gem, okay? And so I have electric cars. I don't know if anybody knows, but Sebring made electric cars. Anybody know when Sebring made electric cars? They made almost 2,000 electric cars. In 1975, there was only 2 companies that made electric cars and sold them in America. Sebring, City Car, and who else? No, that's the big guys. They didn't do that. No, Jet in Texas. They made 2,000 cars, and Sebring made 2,000 cars. You buy 4,000 electric cars in 1975. I have one, but it drives like terrible, but I have one. Okay, and so I just didn't know if anybody knew there was electric cars in Florida. So we're pioneers. Okay, you can brag about that. I wouldn't brag about the car, but that we were first. Okay, so solar cars is another way. Everybody thinks solar because you don't have to pay for electricity. They haven't taxed it yet, the sun. So you have free electricity with your solar car, battery operated electric solar car. But they're kind of funny looking, and I don't know where to put the groceries for kids. Okay, they can like vacation, let them drive along behind. Okay, so here's your electric vehicle. You're doing a great job of talking about them, and I won't do about that. Okay, here's the electric cars here. Where do we plug it in? I'm not sure. Okay. So here's some more electric hybrids. Anybody else? Anybody have a hybrid? We just have the Volt guy, and you have a hybrid. What do you got? Prius. Okay, Prius like mine. Okay. So I'm trying. I'm going to get a new one, but we'll see. Okay, if I get to drive it. Here's some more electric hybrid cars. You'll have all kinds coming out. Here's the charging stations. Here's my charging stations at my place. At the Florida Solar District, I have 3. Anybody recognize those charging stations? You do. Who's at this? Which one is which? Which one's EV1? Everybody know what EV1 is? Okay. EV1's the one.
What's the far one?
EV1's the one closest to you is EV1. For those who know what EV1 is, anybody know how fast it goes?
Yeah, 70.
183 miles an hour. I drove it on the racetrack in Arizona. 183 miles an hour. And so the fastest is 305 in an electric car in the salt flats. So if you come to my place, just call me and I'll turn it on. You can plug your car in. And we're getting a new cool at our place. So I have a new one. But these are old cars. The one at the end, the farthest one away, was mine for my electric car I had. Now here's some solar charging stations we have. The one here is UCF, that's who I really work for, and Arnold Utilities electric car charging stations. Okay, and here's my car, the Toyota RAV4. Anybody see the movie Who Killed Electric Car?
Yes.
Yeah, well, they crushed it. They took it from me, killed the lease, took it and crushed it. And I used to charge here, and I had like 4 charging stations around. I could drive 50, 60 miles, plug in somebody's house and charge up and get free electricity. And sometimes they give me a beer, So in the old days, when I used to do this years ago, I used to go places and get free food and stuff because oh cool, we got a cheap car from our place to plug in. And they just would feed me and stuff. It was really neat. Now they don't care. I have one too. Okay. So now we have electric. Anybody have a natural gas car? No? Okay.
High school.
High school does? Oh, cool.
No, I had one in high school.
Oh, we had one in high school. Okay, cool. I have one too.
My buddy has a steam-powered car.
A steam one here? Where at?
That's in the county. It's not
Yeah, I heard that.
building.
I've been trying to get a picture of it. If somebody give me a picture of a steam car, that'd be great.
All right.
Here's a CNG home station too. Still up at home. Here's some other fueling stations, and Tysel station is ours. You see the picture? There's the shuttle was in the back of the picture. We were out there working one day. Somebody complained it wasn't pumping, so we went out there and tried to fix it, and the shuttle went offline, and we took a picture of it. Okay, so there's some more alternative fuel. Here's some more CNG vehicles. I have a Ford Contour that's natural gas. Here's, anybody been to Baltimore Airport? Okay, those buses are natural gas. Okay, propane. Anybody got propane vehicles? Propane lawnmower. Propane edger. Okay, you can, it doesn't matter what fuel. We're fuel neutral. Any kind of fuel that's not petroleum based. This is kind of petroleum based, but it's American-made petroleum, rather than someone who shoots at us. So, ethanol. Am I politically incorrect for you? That's why I'm not a manager. So we have E85 and E10, and I hope everybody understands that it means that it's 85% ethanol, and 10 is 10. So everybody has 10 now, and you may get 15. Okay, but don't drink it. Okay, even though it's alcohol, it's got gas with it. Okay, you don't want to. So here's some fueling stations. You drive the Florida Turnpike, you can get gas, get ethanol with it right there, and that's our vehicle that does that. Okay, and here's another ethanol car. GM has several. So they're all into it now, and there's about 23 different models that do alternative fuels. Diesel, anybody have biodiesel? No, I already asked that, the biodiesel. Your office has biodiesel? Oh, good, great. FPL does. FPL uses 20% biodiesel in all their trucks. That's really great. I would give him a plug for that. Yeah. Okay, so now you see there's a diesel, ultra-low sulfur diesel on air. And the standards have changed. Oh, I have 2 minutes. Let's see what I got here. Biodiesel car. So if a diesel car, you can put biodiesel in it. Biodiesel in your buses. Okay, hydrogen. This guy here with the car he's plugging in, Addison Bain, he developed a car that ran off of natural gas and hydrogen. He developed it while working for NASA, and they were building it. They're trying to, what else can we do with hydrogen for the shuttle program? And he developed this car back in '92 with us, our engineers and his NASA people there at Kennedy Space Center, developed the car, the fuel, and it's like 70% natural gas, and hydrogen and 30% natural gas. And so they run this vehicle with it, and so he retired, and about 5 years later, the government surplused it, and he bought it at a surplus sale. Okay. So if you're really cheap and you want to get into, because the car is $250,000 to build, because it's all custom built. I mean, back then you didn't have custom make all the parts, and so we got it for $3,500. So if you want to get into an AFE really cheap, GSA, look at the GSA sales and look and see if they're selling any vehicles. They'll tell you which ones are, and go to the GSA sale and buy a hybrid, one of these cars. Okay. So that's a cheap way. So that's where I got my CNG car. My electric car, I got it on a free lease, and the second one that they crushed. But so you need to see the movie if you haven't seen it yet. There's a lot of movies out now. Okay, so my job is to talk you into buying stuff, and I gave you a really cheap place to like Walmart. It's not, but it's GSA. Okay, so you can get yourself into anything. So we're trying to reduce petroleum that's being consumed by doing something else. And you'll see a lot of changes, new technologies. It gets better every year. My city car is terrible, but my REV4 was great. And you'll see that wherever the Volt guy is, oh, it's fantastic. I've driven it. It's wonderful. So you'll love the cars of the future. The technology. Computers are getting better. Everybody remember having to pick up the phone and you click it until someone says what number? Okay, I remember that in Jasper, Florida. Okay, and so I've been there a long time. I'm really old. And so you're going to see as the technology changes, electronics and everything else, the cars will get better, and you'll just love them. And so let's not use this petroleum and do something else. Okay, any questions? I'm all done.
Okay, we'll take a few questions for the panel. Anybody? Yeah, Rob?
Yeah, I'm Rob, I'm County. And one of the things I was questioning when we were looking at the mileage that you could expect, per charge, is that affected directly or indirectly by the speed at which you travel? In other words, is that 400 miles based on 55 miles per hour, or 70 miles per hour, or does it matter?
It definitely matters. Yeah, I mean, it's, the mileage is directly related to the size of the battery and how fast you drive. So, if you're cruising at 125 miles an hour, you're not going to get as much range as you would if you were going 60 or 35.
I mean, but the numbers you're showing, what is that based on? I mean, is that based on 55, 70, what?
It's made on the federal standards. The Department of Transportation has that driving standard that they test the cars to, that you see that little sticker on.
Right.
So it's a routine of speeding up, slowing down, red lights, and so forth. It's a 20-minute drive in a certain path and pattern, and based on that pattern, that's what the mileage comes out to be. So it's a federal standard by a federal test. Now you can beat it or break it, or because my Prius, my wife gets 52 miles to the gallon, I get 48. Okay, so I race, and luckily I don't get too many tickets, but I could.
So then at highway speeds, for example, if you're
Yes.
traveling at 70,
It's
you could expect to get close to.
yes, you should be within, like with my wife, it's within 5% of whatever you're saying. It's based on the federal standard of slowing up, highway driving, safe driving mix.
Thank you.
Any more questions for the panel? Yep, come on up. Would you identify yourself and who you're addressing it to?
Hello, I'm Fez. I built a electric bike, which was been a lot of fun, but in America we have this great preoccupation with making cities around cars, and then we're going to have the great new car, and we're going to have the great new fuel to put in the car, and it's wonderful. But there's just been so many other ways of solving the same problem all over the world with mass transit, right? With making communities that are based around pedestrians, based around city centers, based around having squares and people living around it and working right around there, not needing transportation the same way. Always having urbanization and having to have the same forms of transportation, or the same forms of having transportation means that we have in this country is constantly move goods, so that everyone gets lots of nice space around us. It's beautifying, I guess, because I've seen and lived the other way. But
You have a question there?
yeah, what, if ever, will there be an initiative for clean transportation in public transit? I will never have a license. I will never drive.
Oh yeah, I showed you the bus. The Baltimore Mass Transit. You'll see there's about 55 transits across the country. Out of some 3,000, there's about 55 transits that use natural gas or other alternative fuels. So it is, if you're not using it here, then you're not complaining.
It doesn't work here, it's fine.
Well, you'll have to just give
But this doesn't work well enough.
Hey, and to answer your question about community design, you saw that woven throughout our whole talk. I mean, I'm a bike commuter. I like the idea of slower electric vehicles because once you start slowing down traffic, it's easier for me to bike. All of this fits in a realm of better community design, and that's why we aren't focusing just on the car design. It's the whole package. It includes new types of transit, it includes speeding transit, and I'm with you on that one. Because if we just swap out 1 million gas cars with 1 million electric cars, we have not moved the needle. So I think you're talking to people who are talking the same subject.
It's just not fast enough for you.
By the way, the charging infrastructure that we're putting in out there, we were just down at City of Bradenton, the other day, and looking at a station going in. It's 110 and 240, and a Segway came by, electric bike came by, and they were just thrilled. And I said, I looked carefully at their bikes. I said, can you plug into this 110? He said, absolutely. Thanks for putting it in. So anyway, on the charging side, there's a whole range of vehicles. We probably show too much attention because people get excited about cars, but it's for everything. Good point.
Hello. Vincent Desper. Two quick statements and a quick question. First of all, I believe the chargers should probably be put in front of the paid parking spots. That way somebody will use them. Second of all, if I'm spending a fortune extra to buy a super economical vehicle, I'm basically subsidizing that guy in the SUV. And my question is, how do these electric vehicles function in cold? Do we need cold weather? Doesn't that kill the battery?
I'll start with the third question because that's a pretty easy one. All the new cars are really high tech, the Bolt, the Leaf. They're all meant for cold climates, warm climates. They all have heating and cooling systems to keep those batteries going good. It's not like lead acid batteries or lithium ion batteries. So they're very sophisticated cars. They're meant for hot or cold climates. Your second question was?
I don't have a question.
The electric cars have battery management on them, and they take care of that. The only problem is if you go to Alaska or North Canada, you know, out in the boondocks there, where it's 30 below, you may have problems with them there, but otherwise there's no problem with electric cars.
One more question here.
I heard to make the batteries comes from some rare elements in Canada, and to dispose of the batteries is kind of intricate. And the question is, what happened to hydrogen? And why aren't we back with where that was a couple of years ago?
I guess that's mine. My first electric car was lead acid, and 98% is recyclable. I don't have a new car yet, but I guess this Volt back there is using the lithium, and I think they're 67% recyclable. Okay, so it has exotic materials in there, come from exotic places. And so if you're concerned about exotic materials, exotic places, hydrogen is the worst thing you could ever think of, because the fuel cell, the Addison Bain car I showed you was internal combustion engine burning hydrogen. A fuel cell car has a chemical reaction that turns the hydrogen into electricity. So it's two different, completely different scientific processes, chemistries. Okay, so the fuel cell car, the fuel cell membrane is made out of platinum and titanium. Okay, so that motor costs $70,000. Okay, because it has like 2 pounds of that in it. Okay, so to bring down the first hydrogen cars for $1 million, and I think BMW is now touring and using some hydrogen vehicles that they can brought the price down to $180,000 from $1 million. Okay, so it's very exotic material, and the first fuel cell membrane vehicles, the fuel cell lasted 1.5 years. And a lot of that, remember Bush saying, one day we'll have fuel cells when your kids are 16, and we'll need 16 years to develop it? Well, they've been able to make the fuel cell membrane last 5 years now. From 1.5 years to 5 years made of platinum. Okay, so if you're waiting for hydrogen, if you're as old as me, you won't see it. Okay? I'm sorry, but it will be here one day. Go ahead.
Follow up. Not necessarily the membrane, there are some new materials.
Well, they're always developing new stuff.
But my point would be internal combustion engine hydrogen, and it's very efficient, not that hard to convert.
Yeah, Addison's car is there. He fills it up at his house. Addison Bank. His hydrogen car, he fills it up at his house.
Right, so my question is, how come if we can do hydrogen and internal combustion engines, it didn't catch on?
Because it's still the same price. It's about $25,000 more for the car.
Well, that's not what I've been studying on the hydrogen, California Hydrogen Energy Commerce websites. They're not saying those numbers, so something's going on.
Well, some of them are subsidies. It depends on how big their subsidy is.
The other thing that's going on is, you know, the ready availability of hydrogen. One of the key components for economics is economies of scale. That's why electricity is big. And I know we're all about all kinds of fuels, but the auto industry is, you know, looking at, you know, one of the major components for any car that we have is got to be ready availability of fuel. Electricity's everywhere.
NASA's the largest user of hydrogen, and now we're not going to be using that. So that whole infrastructure of getting the hydrogen is already in place. Maybe we can tap into that.
Let's thank our panel folks.